guys. Terry.
皆さんこんにちは。空の桜井
Hello everyone,
正宏で
this
す
is Masahiro Sakurai from Sora Limited. The Super Smash Bros. Ultimate game was recently honored with 5 awards at this year's Japan Game Awards.
記録が出てしまいました。
It's received a great many awards on top of that as well. Each award is very meaningful to me, so I would like to take the opportunity to extend my thanks to all those who have voted and to all those who have supported us. Thank you so much. Without further ado, let's begin the presentation. First, we'll start with what the Neo Geo is. It refers to a 1990 video game console for use in arcades and at home, as well as to the name of the system itself. In 1990, the equivalent to the Super NES had only just released in Japan, so if you wanted to play arcade games at home before then, the only option was to play the less polished ports on the Nintendo Entertainment System. However, with the Neo Geo system, you could play the arcade versions of games at home with no drop in quality. 1990 was right around the year that I started working for a game company. Back then, Japan had rental services for arcade games. In other words, you could go to a rental store, rent an arcade game, take it home, and play it. After that, they were sold for home use, but a single game would cost about 30,000 yen. That's expensive. But if you think about it, compared to playing a game in the arcade 300 times at 100 yen per play, you're getting your money's worth. At the time, some people actually thought this was cheap. I mean, there really are people who've played games in the Super Smash Bros. Series 1,000 or even 10,000 times. Anyway, the MBS, as it was called then, was sold in various places, and for an arcade machine, it wasn't all that expensive. You could also get them on lease. That's why you'd end up seeing lots of candy stores having a Metal Slug cabinet. The home version of the Neo Geo came with this controller. Can you see? It has 4 buttons. And this is the actual console itself. Here is the reset button, and here you slot in the big game cartridges. This is the Neo Geo? Just kidding. Actually, this is the Neo Geo X, the portable version that was released afterward. You could also insert it into this docking station and play it as a home console. Beat Nintendo Switch to it. A portable, multi-purpose console. Updated iterations of past systems are emblematic of the Neo Geo. Next, let's talk about what Fatal Fury is. It released in 1991, the same year as Street Fighter II, but this one came later. It launched after Street Fighter II. Like many of the other fighters, Fatal Fury was often regarded as a title that was developed to capitalize on the popularity of Street Fighter II, but that's not really the case. Actually, both Street Fighter II and Fatal Fury were developed using the original Street Fighter as a foundation. In fact, the development of Fatal Fury was started by one of the planners of Street Fighter. Did I just hear you say, wow? This one is also a multiplayer-focused fighting game. In this story, someone named Jeff Bogard is killed by Geese Howard. Geese Howard starts up a fighting tournament in Southtown, which he runs. To avenge his father's death, Terry enters the tournament, which is known as King of Fighters. I mentioned the term King of Fighters, something you may have heard before. Yes, there's actually a popular series called The King of Fighters, and that series was named after the fighting tournament within the world of Fatal Fury. And Terry Bogard, who is the protagonist of Fatal Fury, also appears in all the games in the King of Fighters series as one of the main characters. If you want to play a game from either of the Fatal Fury series or the King of Fighters series, many of them are available now on Nintendo Switch as part of the Arcade Archive series. You may not know which one to play first, but my recommendations from the Fatal Fury series would be Fatal Fury Special. From the King of Fighters series, my recommendation would be the King of Fighters 95. But if you want to play a fighting game with all sorts of strategic elements, then I recommend the King of Fighters 98. Next, I'll give you some insight on Terry Bogard. Actually, this video was recorded about 1 month prior to its release. That's because we need to translate and edit videos like this one, and that takes time. The game footage you see here is not from the final production ROM, so please understand that there may be some elements that differ from the final game. Since we have the opportunity, I want to talk about Terry using a lot of SNK lingo, meaning in this discussion, the younger generations may feel a little out of the loop. But there's nothing to worry about. When we released the original Nintendo 64 version of Super Smash Bros., I was often asked, who is Samus? Whether or not the character is fun to play as is more important than whether the character is new or old, or whether the character is recognizable to everyone. I want to make sure I present Terry to you in such a way that you can fully understand his appeal. So thank you. Okay, let's begin.
Yo.
This is Terry Bogard in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. He's still wearing an outfit that reflects the era of his original game, but we did our best to make him look cool in a variety of ways. When he stands next to Ryu, it almost makes you wonder, is this really a Super Smash Bros. Game? Doesn't it? Just like Ryu, when you're playing one-on-one, he'll face the opponent. Actually, he always looks in the opponent's direction. Even if you move him to a location behind the opponent, he'll quickly turn around, always keeping his focus on the opponent. Let's talk about his moves. His neutral attacks are jab, body blow, and high kick. Each move is something familiar from the Fatal Fury series. And his dash is power charge. This is a move you can use in Real Bout, Fatal Fury Special, and others. In the original series, it was one of his special moves. His tilt attacks are middle kick, rising upper, and underkick. Compared to Ryu, his attack speed is slower. This is to match his original series. Now for smash attacks. First up, backspin kick. This smash attack is the equivalent to his strong attack, but the motion is even cooler than in his original series. Next, wild upper and slide kick. Both are from the original series. Then his mid-air moves. Jump, then chop. Jump, then kick. Jump, then backward kick. And then somersault kick. However, this somersault kick was not included in the original series. But we needed a move to attack up, so we created a new move. Also, jump and then karate punch for a down air attack. If you successfully pull off a down air, it's possible to attack with a meteor effect, as you can see here. It's basically like Ryu's. Next, I'll cover his throws. His forward throw is his familiar buster throw. His back throw is also buster throw. And his down throw is neck breaker drop. In fact, he used it in the game Fatal Fury, Wild Ambition. I miss playing that game on Hyper Neo Geo 64. And then, his up throw is grasping upper. This sort of dodge attack can be performed after a spot dodge. I mentioned dodge attack. And this actually does exist. During a spot dodge, immediately press the button to counterattack. During a dodge attack, your upper body becomes invincible, so this kind of move gives you the advantage when you counterattack. Now for special attacks. His neutral special, with just the B button, is Power Wave. Depending on how long you press the button, you'll use one of two types of special attacks, weak and strong. This one is weak and kind of slow, and this one is strong. Fast, isn't it? For Ryu, in his original game, you used 3 buttons, so there were weak, medium, and strong attacks. For Terry Bogard, you could use 4 buttons in his original game, but there were only 2 buttons for punch. So that's why he only has 2 attack levels, weak and strong. This rule applies to all of his special attacks, so please keep that in mind. By the way, the attack Power Wave is a move that shoots energy along the ground. But how does it look in the air? In his original game, you couldn't use this move in the air. This is how it looks now. As of the King of Fighters 96, the Power Wave ability had a shorter range, so we've recreated that version of the move. It's a useful move in midair and helps keep opponents in check. Next, we have a special performed while holding in the direction of your opponent, Burning Knuckle. This move also has a weak and strong version, as well as a command input. Like the Hadouken command input from Street Fighter II, you perform this command using the directional inputs, down, to the side, in the direction of your opponent, and then press the button. Doing so makes the move a bit stronger. This means that Burning Knuckle has 4 variations: weak without command input, and strong without command input, weak with command input, and strong with command input. The strong version using the command input is of course the most powerful. You'll hear a noise when you input the command. And if you've succeeded, you might also notice some green mixed in with the flames. It may be slight, but there is a difference. The strong version with the command input really is strong, even capable of KOing opponents. It can be blocked, however, so be on the lookout for that. In such a case, you'll be left wide open. And this is a first for the Super Smash Bros. Series, but the side specials are split into 2 versions, a back special and a front special. That means there's one more side special than usual, Crack Shoot. This is a familiar move from his original game. There's also a command input version. It's performed by using the directional buttons down to the back, followed by the A or B button. The command version can launch your opponent quite a bit further. It creates a bit of an arc, so it can be used as an anti-air attack when your opponents try to hit you. At close range, if you happen to be blocked by a shield, it's hard to be counterattacked because you'll pass through them. There's something I want you to remember. When you do a crack shoot off screen, this is how it will look. Terry swings with his whole body when using Burning Knuckle and crack shoot, so it can be hard to recover. However, if you keep pressing backwards without inputting commands, you should be able to initiate crack shoot in the direction you're trying to recover. Let me show you one more time. Do this, then continue to press backward. And then you can recover. If you press too quickly or input some commands, you'll fly right off the stage, so be careful. And this is his up special, Rising Tackle. It also has weak and strong versions, each with differing heights. And did you notice that if you hold down briefly to charge, your whole body glows a little? In this case, your whole body will be invincible at the start. Either way, your legs will be invincible. Here's an example of this invincibility in action. With the standard Rising Tackle, I got completely wiped out when I threw myself at them. But with Rising Tackle's charged command version, you can't be hit at this moment, so you come out on top. You can of course use Rising Tackle as a recovery as well. Even after using Burning Knuckle or Crack Shoot, you can still use Rising Tackle. This is also very helpful when you're trying to recover, so please keep that in mind. His down special is Power Down, an attack that rises and descends. This side, down, diagonally down command input is also known as the Shoryuken command. If you can pull it off, you'll be invincible at the start of the move. Also, you can hear a sound when it connects, but it might be tough to make out. Now, let's talk about canceling specials. I'd really like you to keep this in mind. First, if you use a special after attacking with a standard attack, the special won't come out until the move animation has finished. That makes sense, right? But here's what happens if you cancel out of it. At this moment here, if you've successfully entered a special command input, the rest of the animation will be cancelled, allowing you to attack again immediately. I'll do that again. Throw out a kick like normal. And once your leg extends, you'll perform the move. Set it up so that when you attack, you can go straight into a special. This will increase your offensive options. Please try this out. For example, neutral attack 1, 2, and power down. This is a bread and butter combo. Aside from that, you can also get Terry to fly out and attack in an M shape. In his original game, you could only cancel attacks on the ground, but in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, it's possible to cancel aerial moves. The types of aerial attacks that you can cancel are limited to things like neutral air attacks or down air attacks. But I think it would be wise to use these combos to expand your offensive options. And at last, the final smash. His final smash begins with triple geyser. Terry will shoot 3 geysers straight forward. However, if you think that's all, you're very mistaken. As you can see, his triple geyser connects. You'll follow up with Power Dunk and Buster Wolf. It's 3 moves in 1. It's a visually striking combo. You may be wondering what happened to his original super special moves. Yes, they're here too. With the usual rules, when Terry's damage meter rises up to 100% or higher, and in stamina mode, when his overall HP drops to 30% or less, you'll see this Go icon at the bottom of the screen. At this point, if you enter this specific command, you can initiate the power geyser you see here. The command input is, if I borrow the way it's said in the original game, down, angle down, side, angle down, forward. Well, it's a bit complicated. Downward, then backward, then forward. You see? It is an action game after all, so you get to control the direction of your punch, be it right or left. In that case, no matter which direction you're going for, just swap the right input and left input. It's like this: downward, then backward, then forward. Or down, and then the opposite direction if that's forward. And then there's his other super special move. Buster Wolf. You can initiate this one by repeating the Hadouken command input twice. Down to side, then down to side again. It can be rather difficult to pull off moves using the original game's command inputs, but you can also use simplified command inputs. In the case of Power Geyser, remember this: down, side, down, forward. As long as you input the command downward to the side, to the back, downward again, and then forward, you should be fine. In the case of Buster Wolf, it's simply down, side, side. That should be easier to remember. Even though the command input is complex, it can still be blocked with ease. Since these moves can only be used when Terry has taken a lot of damage, you'll be in even more danger if your opponent blocks. So they're high risk and high return. Please save them for when you really need to make a last-ditch effort. You can use it again and again, but be careful. Your opponent may be able to predict your move and take action. Essentially, it's best to use it when it's least expected, or to cancel out of a combo, like this. For the taunts, I decided to match his original game. His up taunt is "Hey, come on, from the King of Fighters series. His down taunt spins his hat like in the Real Bout series. And his side taunt is "Stand Up" from Garo, Mark of the Wolves. I've demonstrated him using various special moves in the game so far, and you can hear his voice. Like that. We've incorporated both his longer remarks, like Power Wave, from older titles, and his shorter remarks, like Rock You, from newer titles. And here are his color variations. There's a good variety of colors available from across the series, and the cap design is slightly different in each version. They're based on his original games, and we've also included some from the King of Fighters 14 and the anime series. He sometimes takes off his cap too. For example, it happens during his victory pose. His cap also blows away when he is defeated in stamina mode. The stage is called King of Fighters Stadium. It looks like one hardcore fighting coliseum. The text above the Jumbotron reads, King of Fighters, without the. When we talk about a game title, we need the up front, but the name of the tournament in the game's story is just King of Fighters. This is a very unique stage, and it follows some rules that haven't existed in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate before. First, the edge is walled off. In the Super Smash Bros. Series, you need to launch opponents off the stage. Here, however, the more damage a fighter has accumulated, the more the wall will visually react when they're launched into it. Can you see? Eventually, fighters will break right through the wall. There are fireworks in the background. Basically, this special feature allows you to KO an opponent only after they've accumulated enough damage. That way, you can enjoy the battle more like you would in a traditional fighting game. When you're close to the wall, it's possible to be KO'd even when your damage is low. It's just like in regular stages. In the Real Bout Fatal Fury series, there was a feature in which the walls could be destroyed and players could suffer a ring out when they hit the wall. This isn't exactly the same, but we made it kind of similar to that. We hope you'll enjoy playing at this stage with all its special rules.
Are you okay?
By the way, there are guest characters in the background, right? Since we have the opportunity, I'd like to introduce them to you. First up, Andy Bogard. He's the adoptive brother of Terry Bogard. Both of them were adopted from an orphanage and raised by Jeff Bogard. However, while Terry's teacher was Jeff Bogard, Andy studied under Mai Shiranui's father. He uses the Koppoken fighting style. Joe Higashi. He's one of the three main characters from earlier games in the Fatal Fury series. He's the only one that doesn't have any connection to Geese Howard. He's a Muay Thai champion. Tung Fu Ru. He's the master of the Holy Fist of 8 Ways, and he also trained Jeff Bogard. He can enlarge his body as well. Billy Kane. He's been in many Fatal Fury games since the first one, and he's the right-hand man of Geese Howard. While he appears in the first game, his costume is based on his appearances in King of Fighters 97 onwards. You can't really see his back, but the no smoking symbol is definitely there. Geese Howard. He's the big boss of Southtown, and he's the rival of Terry Bogard. Falling off of buildings is his thing. Rock Howard. His first appearance was Garo, Mark of the Wolves. He's the son of Geese Howard, and Terry actually raised him. That means his appearance in this game at this age with that look doesn't really jive with the timeline, but Smash is kind of like that to begin with, right? Kim Kapwan. He uses Taekwondo and considers himself a fighter for justice. His Ho'okyaku is very famous. Ryuji Yamazaki. His first appearance was in Fatal Fury 3, and he's a criminal known as Dark Broker. He's very selfish and sadistic. Blue Mary. Her first appearance was in Fatal Fury 3 too. She uses combat sambo, and she's a good drinking buddy of Terry's. Those were the characters from the Fatal Fury series, but from here on, let me introduce characters from other series. Athena Asamiya. She's a Psycho Soldier. Psycho Soldier is a memorable game released around 1986, and it was the first title to feature a fully voiced theme song within the game. This epic song was also remixed for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and it was recorded in both Japanese and English. Music start. Kyo Kusanagi. He's the protagonist of the King of Fighters series, and he uses the ancient martial arts Kusanagi-ryu. Speaking of the protagonist, there are differences depending on which version you're talking about, like Orochi and Nest. Anyway, he is forever a school kid. Iori Yagami. Originally, he was introduced as Kyo Kusanagi's rival, but when I first saw this character in the game at the time, due to his look and attitude, I thought whoever created this character must be a genius. Goro Daimon. He's a judo gold medalist belonging to the Japanese team, and he likes to throw his opponents. Chang Hohen and Choi Bonge. One is an escaped convict, and the other is a slasher. They are currently undergoing rehabilitation under the previously mentioned Kim Kapwan. Ralph Jones and Clark Still. Originally, they were main characters in the Ikari Warriors series before